Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be having an update on Tropical Storm Fred. It is expected to make landfall later today. We also got an update on Tropical Depression Graze, which we actually do have some good news from that system. We also got Tropical Depression 8 that's developed just to the southwest or to the southeast of Bermuda. That actually be going around Bermuda. May actually be a fish storm later on. That's also expected to become a tropical storm as well, which I think the next name on the list is Henry or something like that. It's spelled a little differently. I'm sure it's pronounced something differently as well, but I'm going to pronounce it Henry for now. It's looking to be the next named system, which is expected to develop into a tropical storm. Other than that, not going to be much of a threat to Bermuda for right now, as this main circulation will go around Bermuda and will go back out to sea. There is no threat for Tropical Depression 8. So we got Tropical Depression 8 out of the way already. We're going to try to make this video fairly quickly here because we do have some big updates for Fred and also Grace as well. But let's talk about Fred first, which is getting ready to make landfall to Florida Panhandle later today, which does have a minimum central pressure of 1,002 millibars with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. I think it might be a little bit stronger than 50 miles per hour, at least what it looked like earlier, which I'll show you guys that in a moment. But it is expected to make landfall somewhere in the central Florida Panhandle and probably take a track, something like this here, probably go up to the Appalachian Mountains later this week here. But here's an infrared satellite imagery here of Fred, and you can see here, it's actually a pretty organized system. It got pretty organized yesterday, and it seems like it did lose some of its convection this morning. It did have a little bit better convection overnight, which probably was a little bit stronger at that point. But now it seems like it's dying down just a little bit, but I'm sure we're going to see more convection bursts probably around the system here. It's a little bit more of a comma head top of a tropical system we've got going on here. Its base circulation is somewhere right in here, and is expected to make landfall somewhere into central Florida and eventually move up to parts of southeastern Alabama, eventually up into northern Georgia. But other than that, it's a pretty organized system. We got some convection developing on the eastern side. We still got some wind shear to work with, so that is kind of placing some of that convection further to the northeast. But we actually do have convection around the main circulation, which is leading to some intensification. But the chances for a hurricane on this system here, it's pretty much non-zero. But it could try rapidly intensify before making landfall. But at this point, it's kind of losing time here, so I think chances of a hurricane is pretty much zero at this point. But it is a pretty decent system either way. I think it may get into a high-end tropical storm before it makes landfall, which I think the National Hurricane Center is going to upgrade to 60 miles per hour later on. So here we go, and here's the National Hurricane Center's outlook here for Tropical Storm Fred, and you can see here they do expect this again to be maybe into a high-end tropical storm before it makes landfall, and it's expected to make landfall sometime later today. Um, and at 1 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, it will eventually get to the Alabama-Florida state line. And then 1 o'clock on Tuesday, it'll be at the Alabama-Georgia border. And eventually by late Tuesday night, it'll be in the Smoky Mountains. And probably later that day, it'll be in southeastern Kentucky. Later today on Wednesday. Anybody kind of along on the eastern side of this storm here will definitely have some impacts to work with, which it would either be maybe that chance for isolated tornadoes, which actually be more focused in this general area in here, which is the Florida Panhandle, southeastern Alabama, into southwestern Georgia, even expanding into parts of northern Florida as well. May have that low end tornado risk, which the SPC does have a slight risk out there, which I'll show you guys that in a moment. But really, the main concern of the system here is going to be heavy rainfall, which some models are indicating some pretty decent rainfall amounts across some of these areas in here. There is going to be a big wave of heavy rain across pretty much the northern and eastern side here, which can bring up those rainfall totals a couple of inches in some places. Some places may even have a chance to see 5+ inches of rain as well. Here's a hurricane model's thinking on this system here. You can see here, very good agreement here. Um, You can see here it takes it into the central Florida Panhandle, far southeastern Alabama, eventually to northwestern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, and into eastern Kentucky. At that point, really areas along the eastern side probably have so the better chance for impacts here as well from this system. Hurricane also with Tennessee guidance. It's kind of losing time here. But you can see here we do expect this to die down to a tropical depression when it makes landfall as well. Here's the Tropical System Impact Index forecast here. And you can see here with Tropical Storm Fred, we do have a level 2 out of 5 across the Central Florida Panhandle. It does include Tallahassee and also includes Destin, Florida, and also Panama City Beach. And also it does expand into parts of southeastern Alabama. This does include Columbus, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia as well. It does move up into southeastern Tennessee and even including southwestern North Carolina. Really, anybody in the level 2 and 1 risk, pretty much the primary threat is going to be heavy rainfall, which some places in the level 2 risk may have a chance to see 5 plus. Not everybody, but some places may able have that chance to see 5 plus inches. The better chance of that will be in the mountains, up in northeastern Georgia, in southeastern Tennessee, and southwestern North Carolina. The better risk for tropical storm winds will probably be more focused in the Florida Panhandle and maybe as far north as southeastern Alabama and southwestern Georgia. But right after that point, it'll be down into a tropical depression. Plus, you also do have that low end tornado risk across some of these areas in here, more focused across parts of northwestern Florida, even includes parts of the Panhandle of Florida, and southwestern Georgia, and maybe into far southeastern Alabama as well. But then again, the main threat for everybody is going to be heavy rainfall, but your secondary threats will be strong winds, and maybe it's for that chance for some isolated tornadoes. Which, if we do look into the legend here for Tropical, Tropical Storm Fred, you can see here in that level 1 out of 5, you do have that, again, the chance for 2 to 5 inches of rain, which I did make some changes to the legend, so you guys may want to pay attention here, which I did make some adjustments here. Really only for the rain, really. It's the only adjustments I've made. Before I had 1 to 4 inches for level 1, I've actually upped that to 2 to 5 inches. For level 2 out of 5 with just noticeable impacts, I brought it up to 5 to 8 inches of rain, but you also have that chance for tropical storm winds, but areas further inland won't see tropical storm winds, keep in mind that. But also that 5% chance of tornadoes. But keep in mind, in order to get to this risk level, you only need one of these. You don't need all three. It's really just either one of these that could lead to that threat, as well that could lead to that upgrade. Which for most areas, it's just for the 5 to 8 inch zone. It's not really for tropical storm winds or that 5% chance of tornadoes in SPC standards. Uh, Level 3 out of 5, that'd be 8 to 16 inches of rain. This really gets much higher here. But also, category 1 to 2 winds, 10% chance of tornadoes. That could be significant or none in SPC standards. Kind of goes on from there. Level 4, 16 to 2 feet of rain. And in catastrophic impacts, which is level 5, is at least 2 feet of rain or at least 24 inches of rain. Same way. But you also have that category 4 to category 5 winds as well, and plus that 30% chance of tornadoes in SPC standards as well. Here's the probabilities for Tropical Storm Fred. Really, it's a 100% chance for tropical depression, tropical storm. Overall, not really expected this to become a category 1 hurricane before it makes landfall. But we actually do have a tornado watch in place here from the SPC here. So this tornado watch includes pretty much one county in southeast Alabama, which includes Dothan. You do have several counties in southwestern Georgia, and really for the central Florida Panhandle, which it does include places like Tallahassee, Panama City, again Dothan, and also Thomasville as well. Within that tornado watch, a few tornadoes are possible. No hail is expected, but isolated wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour is also possible for any effects of Fred. So right, anybody in this tornado watch here, which we may get another tornado watch, maybe further up north, which could include more of southeastern Alabama and southwestern Georgia, maybe in a little bit more of the Florida Panhandle. Kind of depends on how these storms will go. But really, the main threat is just going to be that tornado threat, and also have that chance for some isolated wind gusts of 70 miles per hour as well. Here's what it looks like on radar here. This is from the radar side by just to the northwest of Panama City Beach here. And you can see here's velocity here. And we're going to look at it from here because this kind of gives us how strong the winds on actually in the flight level, which right now we are seeing winds of 60 miles per hour. And these are recorded winds, but these are not at the surface. This is actually a little bit higher in elevation. We'll see how high up this is here. So here's a radar site right here. It's actually recording winds at 9,300 feet high. So it's high. It's way up there. And over here, it's pretty much the same way. But sometimes these winds can get down to the surface. Doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it can. But it is recording winds on the eastern side of 60 plus miles per hour as well, so that can lead to an upgrade to maybe 60 miles per hour before it makes landfall. We do have a special marine warning for Apalachicola, Florida, and that's for that chance for some water spouts out there as well. So we definitely need to watch for that as well. But let's get back into reflectivity here. But you can see here, your main circulation is probably somewhere right in here. But look at all this rain out here. Some people can see several inches of rain, especially in the Florida Panhandle and points north as well. Could definitely see a lot of rain from that system. And here's the SPC outlook here. You do have that likelihood for again for parts of the central Florida panhandles, far southeastern Alabama, and far southwestern Georgia. And really, the primary threat is going to be that tornado threat. Damage winds could also be there, but hail is not expected from the system. And tomorrow, they do not have a marginal risk out yet. One may get issued, maybe somewhere in parts of Georgia, but we'll see what happens there. Uh, but right now, there is no risk for tornadoes from the SPC outlook here for tomorrow. But a marginal risk may be possible across parts of Georgia, but we'll see about that as well. Um, Lastly, we'll check out the HRRR model here, the HER, and this has just got updated on this newest run here. But you can see here, here's Fred right here, the center of circulation there. And you definitely have to pay attention to these storms here on the eastern side. Any of these storms can rotate at any time and can produce a tornado out of nowhere. It typically happens in tropical systems here. So really, any of these individual cells here can produce a tornado at any time. They can form a circulation, a tornado could happen, or even a water spouts as well out on those waters. But later tonight, it doesn't really show that much of any shower thunderstorm activity. But it does show a couple of those bands out there that may produce tornadoes. But not only that, it can produce those strong winds and of course, a lot of rain. And you do see that big mass of rain, especially on the western side and the northern side, showing widespread heavy rain. That can lead to some flooding problems up across parts of eastern Tennessee, eventually up into southeastern Kentucky, even across parts of northwestern Georgia as well. That could definitely see a lot of rain. And really, as you got to go into Tuesday, may need to watch for some of these areas in here, maybe into parts of South Carolina and Georgia. May need to watch for that potential, maybe very low end threat for tornadoes as well. That's definitely something we need to watch as well. If we look into the total precipitation here, you can definitely see here, there's definitely going to be a lot of rain in some places. And you can see really anybody in the reds here, that's actually 2+ inches of rain. And really when you get to those pink colors, that's 4+ inches of rain. And eventually you get to those blues, that's 6. So there's some areas we'll see 5+ inches of rain, but really in general, there's going to be a widespread 2 to maybe 4 or 5 inches of rain. But there could be some isolated areas of 5+, which is where her model does indicate, especially up across parts of the northern Georgia mountains as well. So we definitely need to watch for that heavy rainfall threat as well, which I think that's really going to be the main threat of the system. Again, it's going to be the heavy rainfall threat. So that's pretty much it from Tropical Storm Fred. Let's actually go back to the National Hurricane Center outlook here. We'll check out Tropical Depression Graze, which currently has sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. Now, there is some good news from this system. The good news is, looks like there's not going to be a threat to Florida, which is good news. I believe on the last video we had a potential track of going something like this. Look like it's going to go more like this way. So definitely a big shift in the forecast, but it can change again. So definitely need to watch those hurricane models very closely here, which there's actually a better agreement here with that track. But right now, no threat for Florida from tropical depression Grace here, which is some good news. However, it's bad news for Haiti and Dominican Republic. At least it's a weaker system, but it's still going to bring a lot of rain for those areas, even for areas across parts of Cuba and Jamaica as well, seeing that threat there for heavy rainfall and even the chance for some strong winds from Grace here, which may form into get upgraded to a tropical storm by tomorrow when it gets into some of these areas down here. And we'll definitely have to watch beyond that because this shows a pretty favorable environment here. Really, when it passes by Cuba, there's a pretty favorable environment here for intensification here, which is something we need to watch for as well. So here's tropical depression Grace here. Here's the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can see here kind of a disorganized system here. There is a lot of convection out there, but it's really just a disorganized system currently. It may be hitting some land into parts of Haiti and Dominican Republic, which you can see here the center low pressure right now. It looks like it may just make landfall into parts of Dominican Republic and Haiti, by the looks of it here. But here's the National Hurricane Center's outlook here for tropical storm or tropical depression Grace, I should say. Uh, you can definitely see here taking a much further southern track here. That part of cone does include far southern Texas, so we may need to watch southern Texas with this system here. There's also that possibility it may turn a little further to the north. I feel like there's going to be a northern turn with this system, but right now the models are not really showing that currently. But we'll have to watch for that potential shift there because these models here have been kind of all over the place with this system here a little bit over the last couple of days here. But you can see here, taking a little bit further southern track, may miss to the south of Cuba and may miss just to the north of Jamaica, may affect the far southeastern tip of Mexico there. And eventually it gets into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, and that's where things make it pretty interesting from there. Which that shows a pretty favorable environment down there. But here's what the hurricane models do say here. This is on its latest update here. And you can definitely see here, it does show something very similar to what the National Hurricane Center's outlook does show. Brings it further south. You only got one model that brings it to Texas, but the majority of them make landfall to parts of central Mexico. So right now, there is kind of no threat to the United States, really. The only part of the United States that probably has to watch this will be southern Texas here, which that'll be something to watch for now. But things can change from now till then. That's still 5 days away. Things could change here further out. So it's definitely something we need to watch for now. But here's the intensity guidance, and it does show some concerns here. Which one of those things there, you actually got a good chunk of the models bring it to at least a Category 1 hurricane, which seems, I think, kind of likely with this system here at this point. But we're still far out. Things could change. But I think there's a decent chance that this can become a Category 1 hurricane. You do have some models keeping a tropical storm, which I do have some doubts with, though, with that system, or with tropical depression here of Grace. Let me show you guys the GFS model here with the wind shear. And here's Grace right here. about to make way into parts of Southern Dominican Republic and Haiti, dies down a little bit. It actually makes a direct hit into Jamaica, but it's mostly a weaker system. But you can see here when it gets into the northwestern part of the Caribbean, there's not a whole lot of wind shear out there. There is some wind shear on the eastern northern side here, but it isn't really a whole lot. It may disrupt the system a little bit. But you can see here, some of that wind shear does kind of go away when Grace does get closer to the southeastern tip of Mexico. Actually intensifies it to a 988 millibar low, dies out a little bit, but then when it gets into the southwestern part of Mexico, there's not much of any wind shear out there. So this thing here has a green light for intensification, which it does show it making landfall as a hurricane of 966 millibars. So it's definitely something we gotta watch there. So wind shear may become a factor with this system here, but we'll see what happens here. Time will tell. Here's some precipitable water numbers. And you can see here, there's not much of any dry air that's going to affect the system here at all, really. So I don't think dry air won't be much of an issue here, but there is some dry air behind the system here. But I don't think it's really going to affect it that much here, especially with that wind shear kind of going a little bit in the opposite direction here. But it's definitely something we need to watch here with Grace here, because this could become our first hurricane for this Atlantic hurricane season as well. But here's my probabilities for Grace here, and you can see here, I think it's likely going to become a tropical storm again, no doubt about it. But I think there is a decent probability to become a Category 1 hurricane. I think the better opportunity of becoming a hurricane we're probably in southwestern Gulf of Mexico, which I'll show you guys what it looks like out there in a moment. Actually, let's actually do that right now, since that's all I'm going to show you guys on there. But here's the ocean heat content, and where it's going, check out the Caribbean. Very high numbers. Actually, really maxed out in some places of the Caribbean there. As high as a 175. That's some very high ocean heat content. But when it gets to the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, it's lower, but it's still favorable for tropical systems, especially for intensification as well. If you look at sea surface temperatures, you can see here, let me change the color here real quick. Very warm waters. I mean, of where Grace could be going, it'd be going to some of the warmest waters out there. 31 degrees Celsius. That's pretty much bath water at that point. So there might be a chance for a rapid intensification system in the southwestern Gulf. I'm saying it's possible because it could get pretty disorganized from the wind shear and may get affected by it when it gets into the northwestern Caribbean. But there is that possibility that this thing here may intensify into a hurricane in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. We'll definitely see what happens here, but it's definitely going to be very interesting here. So for anybody really into southern Texas, but definitely needs to watch for Grace here because it may bring you guys some impacts here later in the future. But time will tell with Grace. We'll definitely see what happens here, especially when it gets into the northwestern Caribbean here. But really after that, we're going to see what happens there with Grace here over the next several days. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you already like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.